Welcome back to Simply Explain All, where we uncover the hidden stories behind the world's most massive industrial and economic decisions. Today we explore a maritime saga involving billions of dollars, cutting-edge technology, and a choice that changed global trade forever. The story begins in 2020, when the wealthy nation of Qatar prepared to order a massive fleet of new ships. Qatar needed 100 new liquefied natural gas carriers, a super project valued at roughly 23 trillion South Korean won. The South Korean shipbuilders were the favorites, known for their quality, but they were shocked when they received the final feedback. The Qatari officials told the Korean representatives that their prices were simply too expensive compared to the emerging Chinese competition. China had offered a price that was 30% cheaper, promising to save Qatar nearly 6,000 billion won instantly. Blinded by the potential savings, Qatar decided to award the massive contract to Chinese shipyards, leaving Korea empty-handed and stunned. The Korean industry was devastated, having invested heavily in technology, only to lose out to a competitor competing solely on price. Global media hailed this as a turning point, suggesting that Chinese manufacturing was finally overtaking the traditional dominance of Korean shipbuilders. Construction began immediately, with the Chinese shipyards promising to deliver state-of-the-art vessels faster and cheaper than anyone else. However, as time passed and the ships hit the water, the reality of the situation began to reveal itself very quickly. Just 3 years later, the first signs of disaster appeared as the newly built vessels began to suffer critical technical failures. Reports from 2018, 2023, and 2024 highlighted repeated breakdowns that stranded valuable cargo at sea. The problems were not minor glitches but major structural issues, including complete engine failures and malfunctions in the power generation systems. But the most terrifying issue was something known in the industry as a cold spot, a deadly flaw for LNG carriers. Liquefied natural gas is extremely cold, and if the insulation fails, that freezing temperature transfers directly to the ship's outer hull. When normal steel is exposed to such extreme cold, it loses its ductility and becomes as brittle as a glass window. This phenomenon meant that the entire structure of the ship was at risk of shattering, posing a catastrophic danger to the crew. The situation escalated when the Australian government inspected one of these vessels and made a shocking public declaration about its safety. They declared the Chinese-built ship unseaworthy, banning it from operating in their waters due to the severe risks it posed. This was a humiliation for the manufacturers and a logistical nightmare for Qatar, who now had ships that could not sail. The 6,000 billion won that Qatar thought they had saved began to evaporate into thin air with every passing day. Between the loss of valuable gas through leaks and the inability to deliver cargo, the financial damage was becoming astronomical. Repair costs skyrocketed, and the delays in operation meant that Qatar was breaching contracts with its own energy customers globally. Experts estimate that the total loss from these failures, repairs, and delays has now exceeded 20,000 billion South Korean won. The decision to prioritize cheap upfront costs over proven reliability had backfired in the most expensive way imaginable for the nation. Realizing they had no other choice, Qatar decided to return to the only shipbuilders capable of fixing this mess: South Korea. They approached the major Korean shipyards, HD Hyundai, Hanwha Ocean, and Samsung Heavy Industries, hoping to place new, urgent orders. However, the tables had turned completely. The Korean shipbuilders were no longer desperate for work as they had been in 2020. The docks were full. Korean shipyards were fully booked with orders from other smart clients until the year 2028. The price of a single LNG carrier had surged from the 150 billion won that China charged to over 350 billion. Despite the massive price increase, clients were lining up and paying premium fees just to secure a slot in the production schedule. Qatar had to accept these new terms, paying significantly more than they would have if they had stuck with Korea originally. This dramatic turnaround highlights the immense technological gap that exists in the specialized field of liquefied natural gas carrier construction. Building these ships is not just about welding steel. It requires maintaining a constant temperature of -163 degrees. Korean engineers had spent decades mastering this, enduring a crisis in 2015 to perfect their proprietary technologies and manufacturing processes. China attempted to bridge this gap with massive government subsidies, throwing money at the problem rather than developing deep engineering expertise. But as this story proves, money cannot buy experience, and shortcuts in engineering often lead to the most expensive destinations. Thank you for watching this incredible industrial journey. Don't forget to subscribe to Simply Explain All for more deep dive stories. Let us look deeper into the technology. Korean shipyards utilize advanced robotics that weld with a precision no human hand can match. The difference is microscopic but vital. A single microscopic pore in a weld can lead to the catastrophic leaks we discussed. The interior of these tanks is a marvel of engineering, designed to expand and contract without ever cracking under extreme thermal stress. Korea invests heavily in human capital, ensuring that every worker understands the life or death importance of their specific task. It also became difficult for operators of Chinese-built ships to secure insurance, as risk assessors deemed the vessels too hazardous. Seeing Qatar's struggle, European energy companies also shifted their future orders to Korea, further tightening the global supply chain. Today, South Korea holds a near monopoly on high-end LNG carriers, a position earned through decades of failure and success. Industry veterans say that building an LNG carrier is as complex as building a floating spacecraft due to the physics involved. The loading process itself is dangerous. The thermal shock to the system is immense, testing every inch of the ship's integrity. Korean ships are designed to withstand not just the cold cargo, but the most violent storms the oceans can produce. For the shareholders in Qatar's energy sector, the lost dividends are a painful reminder that the cheapest option is rarely the best. While competitors struggle with basic quality, Korean shipyards are already pioneering autonomous navigation and green propulsion systems for the future. Research into new composite materials continues, ensuring that the gap between Korean tech and the rest of the world widens. Retrofitting the defective Chinese ships is proving to be almost as expensive as building new ones, a sunk cost fallacy. Captains and crews prefer sailing on Korean-built vessels, knowing that their lives are safer thanks to the superior engineering standards. The lights never go out at the Ulsan shipyard, a testament to the work ethic that drives this industrial powerhouse forward. Modern Korean ships also feature dual-fuel engines that are far more efficient, saving millions in fuel costs over the ship's life. In contrast, the older technology used in the discount ships contributes more to pollution, facing penalties in environmentally strict ports. Global investors have taken notice, pouring capital into Korean shipbuilding stocks, anticipating a decade of dominance in the maritime sector. This victory is a source of national pride, reinforcing South Korea's reputation as the premier builder of the world's megastructures. Qatar has had to renegotiate supply contracts, asking buyers for patience, a diplomatic headache caused entirely by the shipbuilding failure. The structural integrity of these vessels must withstand millions of tons of pressure from the ocean waves over 20 years. Korean quality control involves scanning every inch of the hull with X-rays to ensure there are no hidden weaknesses inside. The slowdown in orders for Chinese yards has led to uncertainty for their workers, who were promised a golden era of shipbuilding. Reliability means that energy reaches homes in Europe and Asia on time, keeping lights on and heating running during winter. Ultimately, these ships are lifelines. A failure in the supply chain can mean freezing homes and stalled factories across the globe. This saga serves as a textbook example for business schools. The lowest bid often carries the highest hidden costs in the end. Korean leadership remained steadfast during the lean years, refusing to compromise on quality even when they were losing bids. Looking ahead, Korea is already designing ships powered by ammonia and hydrogen, preparing to lead the green revolution in shipping. Even competitors have been forced to acknowledge that for high-value vessels, there is currently no substitute for Korean expertise. Every detail matters, from the engine to the paint. Special coatings are applied to prevent saltwater corrosion for 30 years. These ships are connected to global satellite networks, allowing real-time monitoring of every system from headquarters on land. In Seoul, control centers monitor the health of the fleet, ready to advise crews at the first sign of any anomaly. For the sailors who spend months at sea, the quality of their vessel determines their quality of life and their safety. Some of the troublesome Chinese vessels may eventually be sold off at a loss or converted for less demanding tasks. Conversely, a Korean-built LNG carrier retains its value, often being resold for high prices even after decades of service. The cryogenic pumps are another critical component, capable of moving tons of liquid gas without seizing up from the cold. Before delivery, every pipe is pressure tested far beyond its operating limits to ensure it can handle any emergency situation. The launch of a new ship is a celebration of engineering triumph, a moment where thousands of hours of work culminates. Qatar has learned a hard lesson. In the high-stakes world of energy transport, reliability is the only currency that matters. The relationship between Qatar and Korea has been restored, forged stronger by the realization that they need each other to succeed. As global demand for clean energy rises, these shipping routes will become the arteries of the world economy, requiring the best ships. Korean ports and shipyards continue to expand, adapting to build even larger and more efficient vessels for the coming decades. Behind the steel and technology are the skilled workers, masters of their craft who have dedicated their lives to shipbuilding. Korea also leads in building ice-breaking LNG carriers, allowing routes through the Arctic, saving time and fuel for operators. For the Chinese yards, the silence in their order books is a heavy price to pay for rushing into a complex market. It is a lesson for all developing industries. You cannot leapfrog the learning curve without risking catastrophic failure along the way. Despite the backlog, Korean yards are famous for on-time delivery, respecting the tight schedules of the global energy market. Environmental safety is paramount. A hull breach would be an ecological disaster, which is why the structural integrity is non-negotiable. True value is not found in the initial price tag, but in the lifetime performance and reliability of the asset. As the sun sets on this chapter of maritime history, the dominance of Korean shipbuilding seems secure for many years to come. The names Hyundai, Hanwha, and Samsung remain the gold standard, the brands that the world trusts to carry its energy. For those watching the markets, the shipbuilding sector remains a fascinating arena of technology, geopolitics, and massive capital investment. By 2030, we expect to see even more advanced vessels, perhaps fully autonomous, further cementing Korea's lead in the race. As the world transitions away from coal, LNG is the bridge fuel, making these ships the most important vessels on Earth. We owe a debt of gratitude to the invisible army of engineers who ensure that these floating bombs arrive safely every time. The ocean is unforgiving, but human ingenuity has found a way to tame it, provided we respect the laws of physics. Let us never forget the cold spot incident, a chilling reminder that cutting corners with nature leads to disaster. Qatar is wealthy enough to absorb this loss, but for a smaller nation, such a mistake could have been economically fatal. Through storms, ice, and high seas, the Korean-built fleet continues to deliver, proving their worth with every successful voyage. These leviathans are longer than 4 football fields, floating cities that require absolute precision to operate safely and efficiently. The propeller alone weighs as much as a house, milled to the millimeter to ensure silent and efficient propulsion. Step inside the engine room of a Korean ship, and you will find it spotless, a reflection of the disciplined maintenance culture. Safety systems are redundant and automatic, ready to suppress any fire or leak instantly to protect the ship and crew. Insurers love these ships because the risk of failure is statistically almost zero, making them the safest bet in the industry. Crews are trained on advanced simulators that replicate the exact handling characteristics of these specific high-tech vessels. The handover ceremony is a moment of pride, transferring custody of a multi-billion-dollar asset from builder to owner. As the ship sounds its horn and leaves the harbor, it begins a 20-year career of powering the world's industries. From Ulsan to Doha, then to London or Tokyo, these ships connect the furthest corners of the globe through energy trade. Even after sailing around the world multiple times, the hull shows little sign of wear, a testament to superior metallurgy. For South Korea, shipbuilding is not just an industry. It is a symbol of their rapid rise from poverty to prosperity. Competitors will surely try again, but catching up to a moving target that innovates every year is an incredible challenge. Laser welding technology allows for lighter, stronger hulls, increasing the amount of cargo the ship can carry per trip. Innovations like air lubrication systems pump bubbles under the hull to reduce friction, saving massive amounts of fuel and money. Designers now walk through the ship in virtual reality before a single piece of steel is cut, catching errors early. There is zero tolerance for error. A deviation of a single millimeter is enough to reject a part in Korean yards. The world has voted with its wallet, and the verdict is clear. When safety matters, the world chooses Korean shipbuilding. These giants of the sea are among the largest moving objects ever built by human hands, a true engineering marvel. With Korea back in charge of the order books, the LNG market is stabilized, reassuring investors and energy consumers alike. Knowledge is passed down from master to apprentice, ensuring that the skills required to build these ships are never lost. It takes an entire ecosystem of steel mills, electronics firms, and engineering universities to support this world-leading industry. The future is green. The next challenge is zero-carbon shipping, and Korea is already leading the charge in this new frontier. The boom has revitalized port cities like Gyeonggi and Ulsan, bringing prosperity and jobs to thousands of families in the region. Qatar's trust has been earned back, not by words, but by the tangible quality of the steel and systems delivered. Investing in quality yields dividends for decades, while saving pennies on construction costs, pounds in repairs and lost reputation. Buyers across the world are now more vigilant, scrutinizing technical capabilities rather than just looking at the bottom-line price. The strategy of undercutting competitors with unsustainable prices has failed, proving that the market eventually corrects itself towards quality. The truth always surfaces. In the harsh environment of the ocean, there is no place for a ship to hide its flaws. Quality, reliability, and trust. These are the three pillars that sustain the maritime industry, and Korea stands tall on all three. It is the harmony between human skill and advanced machinery that creates these masterpieces of naval architecture and engineering. What do you think about Qatar's decision? Would you have taken the risk for a 30% discount? Let us know. If you found this analysis insightful, please share this video to help others understand the complex world of global shipping. We have many more stories about industrial giants and economic battles on our channel, so be sure to check them out. As we conclude, remember that the ships we see on the horizon are carrying the energy that powers our modern civilization. A special thank you to our community for your support and curiosity, which drives us to research and produce these documentaries. Creating these stories involves weeks of research to ensure we bring you the most accurate and compelling information possible. The ocean remains a place of mystery and danger, but with the right technology, we can navigate it safely and prosperously. The future of shipbuilding is bright, and as long as the world needs energy, the shipyards of Korea will remain busy. These silent giants will continue to roam the seas, a testament to the decision to value excellence over economy. Thank you for joining us on this journey. We will see you in the next video with another fascinating explanation. This has been Simply Explain All. Stay curious, stay informed, and always look beneath the surface of the headlines. Goodbye for now. Simply Explain All, signing off. See you in the next episode.